Hi, Sue Wilson back again today, and I'm going to show you my high-low technique using a die this time. We're going to be creating this card. Isn't that pretty? I just love that. So I'll show you what we're going to use in today's demonstration. We've got 3 sets of dies here. The Delicate Daisy, this is the complete petal that will be showing you how to make a really different looking flower from it. From the Austrian collection, we're going to be using the tag out of this set. And the star of the show is the Austrian collection background today. Right, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is show you how to cut this. Now I've taken a piece of coconut white card and I've covered it with the self-adhesive sticky sheet and then trimmed it to size. So using the Austrian background, and I'm just going to use the outer part, not the center, I'm going to tape this into place with some removable tape. Just center that so there's a nice little edge. And I probably should tell you that all of the backgrounds in the dies, the background dies don't have an actual cutting edge on them, so you can create whatever size of an edge that you want, which I really like. So let's pop this through. Now, the goal here is to just cut through the sticky sheet, leaving the background intact. However, there probably will be some cut through, so I'll show you how to handle that. Pop it in the middle and run it through just once. Because you've got the extra sticky sheet on there, it creates a little bit of a thicker piece there for it to go through. So most of the time, it doesn't cut all the way through. I've got some pieces that have, but some look like they're fine. So before I even take it out of the die, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape that back so that none of them fall out. So I'm using just some regular Scotch brand tape. This is what you'd use to, wrap a gift with, and making sure that none of those fall out. And I'll show you why in a second. And these look like they're all pretty good, but just to be on the safe side, let's just put a couple over there, across the top there. That's a little long. There we go. Put one down there. And that should just about do it. Okay, so now we can carefully remove it from our piece. So take off the tape and just gently peel it back. And if you find you have any other little pieces that may want to come with it, you can put them back in before we get started, and I'll show you why. There we go. Okay, so in fact, here's a few that popped out. So these I would reinsert back into this before I start, but I've already done one ahead of time for you, so I'll show you what it should look like. So I've just got a piece of backing on there. You should have something that looks very much like this. Now what I've done is I've gone ahead with a little pokey tool and I've peeled up the cut part, just exposing that adhesive on almost all of it. So let's just go ahead and finish the rest of this. And you just want to get a hold of it and peel it away. And there's a few more left here. See how easy that is. Just get underneath there, peel it off. There's one there. There's one there. It doesn't take too long, but it gives you really stunning results. And I think this is the last one. There we go. Take a good look and make sure you've got all the pieces of that die taken away. So I've chosen some Cosmic Shimmer Polished Silk Glitter, and this is called Ice Blue. It's a really pretty color. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle this over this design. And I think I'll get a piece of copy paper underneath here to catch any extra. Okay, and with my finger, I'm just going to burnish this in all the way around. So any part that is exposed with that sticky adhesive is going to catch that glitter. Okay, and what you need to do, let's tidy this up a little bit. Looks like I've got nice coverage on there. Pop that right back into the container. And I'll set that aside for the moment. And I want to just make sure that I've got it nicely burnished into that. So I'm going to rub my finger across it a little bit more, removing some of the excess. In fact, taking a tissue and wiping that away. There we go. Okay. So you can see I've got all of the exposed pieces covered really nicely there. So remember, we covered this entire sheet with a sticky adhesive piece. So what we're going to do now is peel the rest of this up and just get it started from the edge very gently. And you want to make sure you've got most of your glitter off of there because you don't want it to mix in. And pop this off and just gently walk it through. And you might have a few that you'll have to ease up with the pokey tool, depending on the designs. There we go. Oh, so pretty there. There we go. And now I've got all that adhesive exposed. I'm going to use some ice snow on this. So I've got the low, and the ice snow is a little more textural, so it'll give you the high for your design. There we go. Sprinkle this around, and we're going to just make sure it's covering all the other little bits. Let me just put a little bit in the center there. There we go. Tap off the extra. And then I always do a little bit extra burnishing because with the ice snow, it comes and it has a little bit of a height to it. You can actually burnish it in a little bit more, take off some extra, but it's so blingy that you don't need too much. There we go. Set that aside and let me just pop that back into the container. There we go. Okay, we'll set that aside and do a quick little tidy on my craft mat because the glitter is messy. Okay. So you can see I've got the background all finished. It's very easy to do and it gives you a lovely result. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put this onto a matte piece with a little bit of double-sided tape right here, just to give a tiny little edge on our card. I think matting cards really adds a lot of interest to them. Pop that into place. Okay, and I've done some piercing ahead of time, so I've got that ready to go, but I want another piece around that, and since I didn't have exactly the right color I wanted, what I'm going to do is show you how you can tone your cards in to match what you're doing. So using the double-sided tape, I'm going to pull off quite a long piece to cover the side. And I am going to line that up right on the edge. Let me see if I can get that there. There we go. And give it a slight little touch so it's sure to make contact. I'm going to do this side. Make sure you've got a long enough piece that it can go from one end to the other. Line that up, touch that. I'm going to do the other two sides. Tell you what, let's go that way. That. Oop, got a bit of ice snow on that. And pop it on this way. Get that nice and firm on there. So you can pick it up off of your craft mat and use your scissors to trim away the extra on the edges. And I like to go all four sides in one direction and then turn it and catch the other ones. And that way my scissors lay against the edge of the card and I get a nice clean trim. Oops. Let's peel that off. There we go. And we'll go back to our glitter and add just a little bit around the edge. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's pop something right underneath that. keep it nice and tidy. There we go. A little bit. You can just move this around and it'll catch on to that tape edge. So now I will have a matte piece that will match exactly with the center of my card, which I love. There we go. I'll just use some of this and see if we can push that back along. Move it around. Do a little more, and we'll put all the extra back into the original pot. There we go. Now, if your tape isn't exactly straight at this point, you can give it a nice little trim. Very easy to do in a paper cutter. Let's just put that all back in there. Oop. You can be a little neater at home. We will move it to the side. And let me just put the lid on there. Okay. So now I've got a piece that I can mat my piercing on, and I'm going to put this onto a larger mat to finish it off and complete it. A little bit of mounting foam here. Put that into place nicely. That looks good. And then let's get our piercing piece, and we're going to use some of the double-sided tape on that. And I'm going to put it in just a little bit so it doesn't catch that glittered edge, because the tape may not want to stick to that very nicely. You can also use glue if you like. Like that. There we go. And that should just peek out around the edge there. There we go. And then we've got our piece that we did first. So I've got some mounting foam on that. We're going to layer this up. It's all about doing different layers and different dimensions on your cards. Pop that right in the middle. That looks good. Now I'm going to show you a flower that you can add to that. So let me just move some of these aside. And we've cut our delicate daisies. And if you just leave them as they are, you end up with something that looks very much like a daisy. It's got those kind of petals to it. However, if you take your daisy and just pinch it around your finger a little bit and give it some form, a little bit of a squeeze all the way around, shaping those petals, you get something that looks completely different, which is what I love, to have a flower that I can make into different designs and different looks depending on what card I'm doing. So now I've got a few of these. I'm going to do a little bit of gluing. I've done 2 of these and offset them. Just going to layer them up just like that. So you've got the base, and then we're going to go ahead and put one in the middle. And I've done 2 of the smaller sizes on top of each other the same exact way. Pop that in the middle there. And we'll just make it a little fuller even. We'll add this one on to the bottom. So we'll have a really, really pretty, what I'd say looks a little bit more like a chrysanthemum than a daisy, which I love. It's really nice. So take those will be ready to go on. And in the meantime, I'm going to cut my sentiment. I've done the stamping already, so I'm going to use the center of the background right now. I've got this really lovely oval. I'm going to pop this into place around my sentiment. Tape it into place again, just to make sure it's nice and secure. And we'll cut this and do a little bit of inking. You might hear some popping going through with this one. Oop, fairly quiet. And I've chosen the distress ink called Evergreen Bough to do a little bit of inking with this one. And it's a real pretty green shade that matches our ink. So I'm just going to do a light circular motion all the way around the edge to highlight that sentiment. Tiny bit of tapping on the ink pad brings your ink up on your cut and dry foam. And you can always go darker, so if you go in easy with a real light hand, you think you want a little bit more, then you can go in a little bit darker. I find it's easier to do this way. There we go. Pop that out. And the other thing I've done ahead of time was I've cut the tag from the border set. And if you cut this in half, just right down the middle, you can pop that on either side like this. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and mounted that with some mounting foam. But isn't that pretty? It just gives you another little thing that you can do to kind of draw the eye in. So I'm going to put that in the center. And since I've got the ice snow there, I want to be sure and put a little bit of glue on my mounting foam. And lay that down. That'll just take a second to hold. And then I can add my flowers too. I went ahead and tied what I call a messy bow with 3 different colors of seam binding. I've got your green zircon, your turquoise, and your green gem here. So I'll put that on with a glue dot. And then we'll seat our flower right in the center of that. Just have that right off to the corner. And the big flower can go right here. There we go. And let's put a couple little flowers up in the corner. I've got one more I've done here. Do that one. And one more here. And this one just needs a tiny little pearl right in the center of it. So we'll take one of our flat back pearls, put that right there, seat that over there. And to finish the card off, I've made a couple little fancy stick pins, and I'm just going to stick those right into the knot on my bow and put those into place. There we go. How pretty is that? So you've got an absolutely gorgeous card to give anybody, and it's lovely just for friends forever.